Welcome to this tutorial on Gtee Snag statistics and filtering. This series is designed for just-in-time learning and it is assumed that you have been using Snags for a while and are familiar with the Snag system. Log into Gtee. You may have noticed that the Snag button on the home page has a couple of bubbles with numbers. These give a quick indication of how many snags need immediate attention. An orange bubble indicates snags that have not yet been allocated to a project manager or contractor for rectification. It is assumed, therefore, that these are new snags. A red bubble indicates overdue snags, that is, snags that are not marked as complete but have passed the estimated completion date. From the toolbox or the home page, select Snags. When the Snag page opens, the default view allows you to search for a build to load snags against, and this is how we have been using the system in previous videos. The number in the build bubble filter represents how many active snags are in the system. Importantly, you are viewing open snags. If you wish to include recently completed snags, then you will need to add these to the results. For example, select closed in the last month from the date range box, and the results will be included. However, if we have a large number of active snags, we may wish to review the state of these and perhaps print a report to follow up on overdue or complex rectifications, and this is where our filters are useful. The new Snags filter displays any snags entered into the system that have not yet been allocated to a contractor or project manager, and clicking on the button filters the list to just those snags. The new Snags filter is actually a shortcut to the status filter. It simply presets the status to new or possible snags. The new snags are set in the system as possible. The reasoning for this is that the owner may have reported a snag, but as yet it has not been validated or assigned for investigation by the project manager. You'll notice that there are now several other options available from the status filter: complete, overdue, allocated, possible, and nil. Each has a number representing how many snags are in each category, and as you'd expect, clicking on the filter buttons returns just those snags. Clicking an active filter button toggles it between on and off. So if we click the status filter, for example, we return back to our default view. Clicking it again filters the system by status. Notice the lower viewing pane is showing all the snags grouped by status. Clicking on the overdue filter, for example, limits the view to just the overview snags, and the rest work in a similar fashion. The category filter groups the snags by the categories as listed in the tolerance guide. The contractor filter works a little differently. Instead of a list of subcontractors, you are able to search for a specific contractor if required. For reporting and site visits, you can download a list of the snags as filtered on screen. Simply make your selection and then press the download report button, where an Excel compatible file is downloaded and able to be printed. The file is grouped by build addresses and has all of the necessary information, including the owner names, allowing the holder to easily find and visit any affected properties. We now come to Snag statistics. Particularly for large building companies with many contractors, the statistics view can be very useful in identifying recurring problem areas, subcontractors, etc. Clicking on the Stats button brings up a graphical view of all of your snags. At the top we have our master filters. The default is snags by build. Here we see the spread of snags across all of our builds, with the address of 10 Teston Grove having the most snags. Now the graph to the right displays the snag status for the selections made by the graph back on the left, noting that 35% of all of our snags are overdue. If we select the section on the left graph, then the graph on the right now shows the status spread of the snags for that selection. You can also click on the key to achieve the same selection. Notice how the graph highlights as you hover over the key to assist in tying the two together. Clicking on the All button of either of the graphs removes any sub-selection and returns you to the top-level view for the master filter selected. The category and contractor filters group the snags as suggested, and the graphs work in the same way. The most interesting is probably the contractor filter. Here we see that the contractors No Name Leslie and No Name Bricky have 20% of the snag share each. This may indicate that they have regular problems with their workmanship. Drilling down, we see that No Name Leslie has rectified 2/3 of the snags, but a third are still overdue. No Name Bricky, however, has not yet completed any of his snags, although none are showing as overdue. Note that you can scroll down to peruse the individual snags represented in the graphs, and, just like the main page, you can download a report directly from the stats view with the snags filtered by the graphs on the screen. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this series, you will need to load your subcontractors to get the most out of the snag system. If you use product selection in your snags, then you will be able to find valuable information about product performance. From the statistics view, select the product filter. Then select completion type as the detailed view. Set the date range to review the product over the required time frame. Now, for the purposes of the demonstration, I'll select every snag that ever was to return the maximum amount of data, but of course you'll probably want to use the last year or so. The graph on the left now displays all products that ever had a problem. The graph on the right is displaying how these snags were rectified. In particular, we can see which were product faults versus installation faults versus owner-induced faults. If I click on the shower slice, the graph on the right now shows me the completion type for just the shower. And of note, there is 8 out of 15 snags were product faults requiring repair or replacement. I might not want to use those cheap showers anymore. You'll also notice in the help tip that 8 snags equates to 53%. Now, if you would rather view your stats by percentage, then simply click the percentage box. Well, that's it for using snags with products. We at Gtee trust this will be invaluable to you, the builder. And thanks for watching. And if you want all of the statistics available, then you'll need to use the product selection in your snags. Have a watch of the advanced snag video for this. I trust this help series has been of value, and thanks for watching.